Good evening and welcome to Minneapolis by Night. This will be a mage venue scene. It's a awakening scene for a new mage to the city. Um, Gentleman going by the name of Lex finds himself yet again hoping to strike it rich at the Roaring Steps Casino. Unfortunately, he's had a little bit of a string of bad luck. Um, Not world-shatteringly yet, but enough that the owner, Mr. Owana, is at least familiar with his face and knows that he has a bit of a tab outstanding as of right now. So he's here hoping to clear that tab and make enough to move forward. It's a rather large casino, multiple floors. There's your dice tables, your roulette card, so you can kind of pick your poison. And with that, we will enter Lex, and he is free to peruse the casino or go where he would want to.
Okay, so hi. Do you want me to do an introduction or?
Oh well, the folks at the casino kind of know you, but if there's someone specific you want to introduce yourself to, you're welcome to.
I'd like to go up and talk to Shandar just simply to let him know that I'm in here and I'm going to try to settle my debts today and hopefully go from there.
Okay. He's he tends to kind of stroll around the entire casino. Can often be found. He's got what looks like a wine glass in his hand.
Yep.
Always has a pair of dice in the other hand, and generally women tend to follow him as well. But he's fairly easy to spot within the casino, so
I'm just going to wander through until I can spot him and then have a chat to him personally.
All right. Give me a perception alertness.
Perception 3, 6 dice.
This was weird to me. I have players who have perception skills that hasn't happened in a while.
Look, hang on. Okay, there we go.
All right. Well, with those 3 successes, you find you do see Mr. Owana, and he's talking to this gentleman in this black suit. One other individual who seems to kind of almost flicker in and out of eyesight. You don't notice him. You notice him. And, actually, you're kind of surprised you can ever not notice him. Is this gentleman who appears to be the head of security, based on the way he moves through the casino and the number of weapons you can see on him. But he moves out of sight again, and as you get closer, these 2 gentlemen finish up their conversation, and the man in the suit heads off to what looks like a private booth in one corner.
Okay. So is the Shandar free?
He is. Obviously, he's still got a couple of women hanging on him and that sort of thing, but
yeah, but that's normal for him.
Right. Yes, he is not engaged in any sort of business that you can tell.
So I'm going to wander up to him with my widest smile and go, good evening, Mr. Owana. How are you this fine evening?
He looks at you and he kind of chuckles and he says, Not too bad, although I'm always better when balances are in the positive.
That is exactly why I'm here. I'm hoping to strike it lucky, and I'm definitely feeling lucky tonight.
Says that's all well and good, but feelings don't put the zeros on my accounting book. So he says, I hope
I
for your sake you're correct.
I hope for my sake I am too. Would you have any suggestions on where I should start my evening tonight?
He chuckles and says, well, that depends how bold you're feeling, I suppose.
I feel I should start moderately, and I think I'll win big.
Well, if you're looking for moderate, the craps tables are generally pretty good.
I'll start there, and we'll see you later this evening to settle my debts.
Well, I hope so.
I then offer my hand in a message of friendship, and then sort of end the conversation and wander off towards the crabs tables.
All right, he'll shake your hand. Certainly, as he kind of sleight of hand. He rolls his hand, and the dice that he was holding disappear. You would guess up his sleeve, and then he shakes your hand, and then as you leave, he turns of course to the women with him and heads towards the bar.
So I'm wandering through. I'm finding the crabs tables and looking to try my luck there.
There's there's a number of them.
Just as out of curiosity, how much money do I have on me to gamble with?
Um, that is a great question, and also one that I'm going to have you. Give me let's roll your wits plus your blessing. Well, you have about you find yourself tonight with about between 12 and 1500 in cash. Unfortunately, you know that your current tab with Mr. Owana is roughly about 5.
Easy done. So yeah, we'll head towards the crabs table.
All right, and there's a couple of them.
I'm unfamiliar with the game of crabs, so I'm not entirely sure how it works, but we'll still try to go through it.
Well, for our own sanity, because I don't feel like learning the rules of every casino game out there, I am going to. We will use in-game mechanics and simply have it be a flat difficulty.
Yep, easy done.
And I am going to have you roll me. Well, first off, I assume you're going to try and place your bets prudently.
What's the minimum? Yep, what's the minimum buy-in for the actual table?
Well, they've got a couple of smaller tables where you can go in at like 20, 40 type. They also have some midline tables that are like your 100 to 500, and then their premium tables are 500 minimum.
I'm feeling lucky, so I'll go to the 500 table and just bid the 500 straight off.
Okay, I want you to give me a intelligence probability roll.
Intelligence. What?
And that's your probability of being your esoterica.
Okay. So my esoterica probability is my speciality as well.
Yep. So 3 successes, and then so placing your bets, you're gonna place them according to what seems likely to win you, even if it won't necessarily win big. You know your probabilities well enough that you're going to try and stack it to at least come out ahead, because you'd rather win a smaller amount consistently.
Yep.
And then I'm going to, for your actual throw, I will have you roll a Dex Subterfuge. And you can add your blessing in for additional dice on that one as well.
Up to 11.
I believe that's what it would be, yes. 3, 3, and 5, yes. So throw me 11 dice.
Yep. There you go. The 11 dice are rolled.
Right. And what do we have here? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So you end up actually tripling up on that one. Coming out rather well.
Okay, so I've got $1,500 extra.
Correct.
50. Awesome. From that win, I'm going to bid another $500 in and see how I go from there.
Okay, so you're gonna triple up your bet,
Um,
or you're gonna put 2,000 total down.
no, I'm going to take the 1,500 off the table and start again with
Okay.
another 500.
Okay. All right, so you have 25 in the bank and 500 on the table. Perfect.
Yep. Do another probability roll.
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
All right. So you know you kind of bet where you think makes sense.
okay. So another Dex subterfuge.
Yes.
No blessing modifier on this one.
Yeah. Let's go ahead with that.
So 11 dice again.
Yep. All right. So we have, and that one comes up significantly against you. So it's not looking good. So you're out your 500.
Yep. I'll place another 500 down and try again.
All right.
This is the probability roll.
All right. Well, you got your logic perfect on that one, certainly.
And that's my luck roll.
All right. So that one you end up basically doubling down. You get your 500 back plus the 500 on the table.
Yep.
Cards didn't
Okay.
come, or the dice didn't come up exactly how you were expecting, but you played it safe when you bet, so it landed where it was doable.
So I'm back to about $3,000.
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to thank the guy running it, being absolutely charming while I'm doing that, and try to wander off and find a different game.
All right.
So is there a poker table there?
There's actually a pretty good variety of poker tables. Um,
Uh,
there's they got your traditional 5 card. They got hold'em. They got modified.
for simplicity's sake, I'll just say I'm looking for a blackjack table. Actually, rather than poker.
Okay, that's fine too.
So do I need to roll a perception awareness for that one, or do I just wander around because I know the rough area?
No, give it enough time. Give it enough time, you can find one. It's not that hard.
Okay. So yeah.
There's a variety of clientele, but you can certainly find a couple of them.
Have I seen the head of security roaming around again?
Yeah, he's been passing through, but he most people don't say much to him. He just kind of breezes through and goes on his way.
Have I seen any other security around, or is it just him?
What's that?
Have I seen any other security around, or is it just him?
There's your regular security staff. He's just the unusual looking fellow.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just make my way and sit down at the probably a $500 table. Probably maximum this time, like
okay,
the $100 to $500.
okay, and there's plenty of them.
Yeah. So I'll place $500 on the table, and I'll do $100 bids.
Okay, perfect. Let's go with your intelligence probability again. And I need a wit subterfuge after that as well.
Okay. I'll let you have a look at the first one. You can tell me when to roll the next one.
Go ahead.
Sort of few. And that's the second one.
Okay. And then we will have you go ahead and roll your what was it, dex subterfuge?
Plus blessing.
Plus blessing. Yep.
Yep.
All right. So, cards come up exactly the way you had predicted it. And you end up walking away actually with 1,200 over the top. So an additional 1,700.
So 3,000, 4,700.
Yes.
Ooh.
Roll me a perception alertness.
Okay. Perception alertness.
And you kind of been watching security, but somehow or other, he managed to you didn't notice until you see or feel and see a tattooed hand land on your shoulder, and you see his face kind of just lean over your other shoulder, and he says, "Boy, you sure read that one good, friend. Real good."
That, I most certainly did. Would you like to have a sit down and run one on me?
He says, "Yeah, I think that'd be a fine way to pass some time. Sick of walking around anyway."
So I pop him down $500 out of my money and pop down another 500 of mine after taking the 1,700 off the table.
Okay.
And I'm going to be aiming to lose these without, like, so I'm not going to win any money, but I don't want to come down too far short.
Okay. So you want to kind of like play a casual bet, just right to not win, but not lose out either.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to lose the $500 that he has, but I don't want to lose the $500 that I've placed on the table.
Okay. So I'm going to have you give me your intelligence and probability again, because you're trying to figure your odds to just barely lose. All right. And then since I assume you're trying to be subtle about this, I'm going to have you give me a wits and subterfuge.
No blessing edition?
Not on that one, no. Because this is just you trying to be discreet. And bad news is you're quite obviously throwing the hand, and there's even the dealer is looking at you. And after the hand, which Dex actually came out pretty well, and he sets your 500 back in front of you. Pays the dealer out of your the winnings from him, and then he says, "I think you and I maybe should find ourselves a different table to chat at."
I don't pose any problems. I just smile at him and let him lead the way.
And he'll he'll lead you over to a back room and kind of motion for you to take a seat.
Yep. So just out of curiosity, didn't lose any money on that. I just
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm back up to 4-7.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, I'm sitting down at the table, just sort of watching. I don't think I even know his name. Does he have a name badge on?
Nope.
Okay.
And then Shandar walks in, and he slams his hands on the table. He says, "First, you owe me money, and I've let you keep a tab for many nights because you keep coming back, and that's a good thing for me. I can accept that. I don't need to always have money as long as I have customers. Then tonight, you not only come in with a tab, but you come up to me, tell me to my face you intend to repay it, and then my head of security tells me you're out here running the table on me. And a tab doesn't really mean much if you're just going to come in and try and cheat your way out of it."
I wasn't cheating my way out of it. I've merely been blessed by Lady Luck tonight.
And the head of security kind of snorts. He says, "Luck or no luck, I know a card counter when I see one."
I merely play probabilities. I don't count cards.
He says, "And what exactly do you think counting cards is but reading probabilities?"
So having a knowledge of probability in a casino is illegal.
Well, there's using them under certain circumstances can be. Tried it in
Doesn't
Vegas, you'd need new kidneys already, but I find myself more willing to at least chat before I decide which organs to remove.
I I merely just wish to present the full circumstances. I'd walked away from the crabs table. I hadn't I hadn't played on the blackjack table before, and I merely won a few early hands without any prior knowledge of that actual table. So, in my experience, counting cards requires a lot of small bets to get a feel of the table, and then having one person come over and win big.
If you're an experienced and organized con man, perhaps, but for a desperate man, down on his luck, no, that's a whole nother circumstance. And head of security leans in and he says, "And more importantly, whether you were or weren't, I know what it looks like, and so do the guys at the other table. And we don't want them getting ideas that that's okay. Sometimes you're willing to lose a tab if it means making an example." And he, at that, he kind of grabs you, but slams your head down on the table in front of you. You know, grabs you by the back of the head and slams your head down.
I sort of laugh when he does it the second time and go, you know, you don't start with the head.
And he turns, or he chuckles, and it's far from a pleasant chuckle, that's for sure. And he comes around, takes a seat on the table in front of you, very very politely, and he leans in real close, which is when you're face to face with him, and you notice he's actually almost looks like he's got fangs. And he says, "No, of
Is
course
this,
not. You start with the
is,
Carteroid."
is this Shandar or the bouncer?
The bouncer, Dex.
Okay. I'm going to turn to Shandar and go, if you truly believe that I was counting cards, why don't we play a game of chance with those dice you're always playing with?
He he chuckles at that and throws them down on the table, and he says, "Have yourself a roll."
Before I do that, I'm just going to say, what was my tab when I came in here tonight?
5,000.
I'm $300 off that. Let's say if I win the roll, you take half the money that I have now. I'll go back out. I'll play a few more games of chance, fill the rest of the tab that I owe you, and then I'll disappear.
He chuckles and he says, "And if I win?"
My debt's doubled. I leave here and I've got to find a way to get that money.
I think if I win, then my good friend Dex here does what he does best and makes an example out of you.
I'm willing to take the chance.
He chuckles at that and says, your roll.
What do you want me to roll for this one?
We are going to do a straight pair of D6s.
Okay.
And he so he watches your roll, watches you, and then he walks over, picks him up, and he makes a point of it. He picks him up, sets him in his open palm, and rolls him, and comes up with a perfect winning roll.
My character just curses.
And as he does, he feels a dagger slip in between his next to his spine, right into a kidney.
Lex just winces and doesn't cry out.
And you find yourself in what looks like the same casino. However, it's significantly more run down, rather unpleasant. And the gentleman in front of you let me just get pulled up here. Where Shandar was standing is now the smaller of the two here, a robed man with a staff, and behind you is a larger armored figure with a sword. The man with the staff kind of rubs his forehead a little bit, and he says, "Really, they seem so fond of sending me these. It'd be nice if they could at least be a little creative about it once in a while."
Who
He pulls out
sent?
a scroll and sets it in front of him, and he says, "Well, what's your name, so I can find your tab?"
My name is Alexander Mentiri.
He runs his finger down the paper, and he says, "Oh yes, here we are, 5,000. Would you prefer to spend those days as a particular piece of furniture?"
I feel like I should be a chandelier. I tend to brighten people's lives.
Yeah, he chuckles a little bit, and the guy behind you says, "Oh great, another smartass."
I flash him my biggest shit-eating grin.
5,000, you say, as a chandelier. I don't know if I want you hanging around that long. And he with kind of a flicker, you're back in the regular casino for just a second, and you see Shandar standing over you, and he says, "Dex, you either getting careless, or you are more irritated than normal. Seems to me he's not quite finished." And then you're back in this rundown casino. And the two gentlemen are standing there talking. Says, it's. When I said I wish they made it interesting, I didn't mean that they do a sloppy job halfway.
What do you mean?
Well, Mr. Lex, it seems we're going to get to sit here and watch you bleed out first before you become a chandelier, as it were.
Oh, well, I feel there should always be a show.
And then you hear a woman in a red dress walks up next to you, um, and she kind of leans against you. And this, real nice looking blonde woman, nice makeup and stuff. And she pulls out a deck of playing cards, slips them in your pocket, and says, "Well, come now, dear. Don't you at least want to take a chance on getting out of this one?"
I turn around, look behind me, look at the beautiful woman, look back, and do I notice any change in the two expressions?
No, neither of them appear to have noticed her at all.
I then smile wider and go, well, how about we play for my future then, shall we? Make the time that I'm bleeding out a little bit faster.
Hmm. Seems to me that one's it's an interesting proposition. The guy with the sword says, "I don't like it. I think a coat rack would be fitting." And the one with the staff says, "Well, you know that you know the rules, Virgil. Challenge issued goes to the boss." And he says, well, I suppose rules are the rules. That's how we keep the family in order." He turns, heads out. A few seconds later, this gentleman comes in, looking just like he looked at the casino. In fact, he's still carrying what looks to be a glass of fine scotch. Uh, sets a second glass down in front of you, and he says, "Well, dear boy, I'm given to understand that you have offered to play a game of chance with dear Nicodemus here."
I finger the pack of cards in my hand and in my pocket and go, well, I'm bound for a win sooner or later. I feel like I might as well go big or go home. Or in this case, probably to hell.
Oh, we don't bother with hell here, dear boy. No, you're worth far more lingering around this place. But I'll tell you what, I'll raise the stakes a bit. You win against Nicodemus here, and I settle your debt with Shandar, return you to that nice, lovely flesh and blood meat sack back there, and you walk out clear of your debt to him, owing me one favor of my choosing.
And if
You
I
lose,
lose,
you stay here, and Nicodemus mince you into coins. Which ultimately will be your fate if you don't play.
okay. What I pull out a deck of cards and place them on the table, pick up the scotch and sort of smell it a little bit and go, what's the game to be?
Your challenge, your game. There isn't one out there that Nicodemus doesn't know.
Uh, the I played well at blackjack. Let's play blackjack.
Very good. Your card's ideal. Does that seem reasonable?
That sounds perfectly reasonable to me.
All
I
right.
drink the scotch. What does this? Does the scotch taste poisoned, or is it just an incredibly fine, delicious scotch?
This is beyond top shelf scotch. This is there's nothing else to it. It's absolutely incredible. But that's nothing else. You know, it's certainly not some. It's not poisoned or anything.
Before the guy deals, I'm just gonna say, would you care to throw in a bottle of this delicious scotch if I win as well?
Yeah.
Actually, when I
He chuckles and he says, "I like you. I think you and I could do some good business. So I'll tell you what. You win. I'll throw in the bottle of scotch and a job offer."
interesting. We'll discuss that after I win.
All right. So this one, I'm going to go with the. Let's go with the wits subterfuge, and you can add your blessing to it.
Watch me roll 11 ones.
If you manage to pull that one off, more good on you.
There's my roll.
All right. Ooh, he's sitting on 5 of those bad boys. And you have. And you just barely managed to beat him out. And Nicodemus looks at Tommy, and Tommy goes, "Well, fuck me." Says, "It ain't often I see Nicodemus lose a straight hand." He pours you another glass of scotch, and he says, "All right, this way, I suppose. Back to it."
Now, what was this job offer you had for me?
Well, I've got a couple of different opportunities, couple lines of work. I coordinate with Dex to run security here, but I also do handle a number of things outside the casino. A couple of different family businesses, if you will. Yeah. So it depends where your skills lie, but we can chat with that and when we're in a little more comfortable of an environment.
I follow him out.
All right. As he walks out, has you take a seat, and basically you walk out the door and you're back in the room with Shandar, and he walks right up, hand on your shoulder, has you sit down in the chair, and you actually feel warm again. He sets your glass of scotch in front of you, pulls out what looked like 2 vials of blood and a bundle of cash, and hands them to Shandar, and says, "That's clear. This one's mine now." And
And
Shandar and Dex walk out of the room.
before he does that, I shoot Shandar my biggest shit-eating grin that I can, and sort of do the finger wave.
Okay.
Does Shandar react at all? Or?
He not. He kind of glares at you a little bit. And he looks at Tommy and he says, "Oh, and you can keep him in one of your basement casinos instead of my establishment." And Tommy sits down in front of you and takes out, actually, and you're not sure where he when he snagged them, but he actually takes out Shandar's dice, and he starts throwing them across the table. And I need a perception awareness.
Okay, 6 dice.
All right. Even on the first roll, you know that dice are random, that there's a fixed probability to it, but
Yep.
the way they move has a little more of a pattern that you're able to see. Um, Almost like just the way they left his hand, you knew what they were going to come up before they even did. And then I'll have you roll me a. Let's go with perception enigmas on your next one.
Oh.
Yeah, there's something about the way they moved. You couldn't quite tell where they were going to land or what they would land on this time, but you knew exactly where to look for them on the table before they even finished rolling.
Yep.
And on your next one here, I am going to have you. I'm going to have you roll strictly your avatar on this one. All right. On your last roll, or as he rolls it one more time, it's you look at it and it's the way they a guy always has a woman blowing his dice for luck, that sort of thing, and you can see watching these dice move how something like that actually changes the outcome. You can't quite pinpoint it though, and then you catch just a whiff of this perfume, and you hear the voice in your ear, that same woman in the red dress, and she says, "Am I distracting you? Perhaps you need a bit of help from Lady Luck." And she kisses you on the neck, and it's like it just clicks. You can see exactly how things might shift. How a simple nudge here could change things.
Yep.
Um, a extra dollar bet might change the outcome, and it all just seems to suddenly make sense. And as it does, other pieces make sense too, and you realize that you were actually in some sort of underworld gambling. When they said you were gambling for your life, it was literally true. And she walks around, and actually she'll looks right down at you. Tommy chuckles, sets a business card on the table, and you notice that on the back of it is actually the Jack of Spades. And he says, "We'll talk about that job once you've had time to clear your head." So
Okay.
games of chance are always revelations. And he turns and walks out, and then she sits down on the table right in front of you. Legs crossed, leans forward, and looks you right in the eye and says, "I think you and I are going to have quite a bit of fun."
I lean forward and kiss her and go, "Oh, I'm sure we will, darling."
And as you get up, start to head for the door, and even as you're walking out the door, things just seem to look different. They make a different sort of sense. You can see how a doorway is not just a passage, but a link between spaces. How the people are in the casino outside are motivated by different things, and how they could be nudged one way or another. Once again, it seems it's everything seems to have a simple pattern if you're willing to lever it the right way. And as she slips her arm around your waist, she says, leans in close to you, and she says, "It's all a matter of being in the right place in the right time and applying the proper leverage." And as you walk out the door, she heads over to a like a Rolls Royce and says, "I'm afraid you'll have to drive." And as she gets in the passenger seat, she seems to vanish, and the keys
Okay.
are in it.
I hop into the car and hope to God I can drive this thing.
Yeah, it's actually it's been set up for American roadways and stuff, so it's certainly drivable. And you see the title laying on the seat has been signed. And actually, you notice the signature is for it's signed by Nicodemus with a sales price of $0, and it's been left blank. And in the back seat, there are a pair of suitcases as well.
Um, I want to check what's in these suitcases.
Okay.
So do I just wander around and open them and look inside?
Yeah, you can take a look inside.
What do I see?
One of them appears to have a fairly reasonable amount of cash, and the other one is a pair of pearl-handled revolvers.
Ooh, interesting. Can I examine the way that I was looking at chance earlier in the dice? I want to look at the revolvers in the same sort of way.
Okay. And again, there's always a pattern, and with typical revolvers, there's the rifling in the barrel, and this rifling actually seems to have a atypical pattern to it that seems very very accurate.
Okay. Um, do they come with holsters as well in the briefcase, or do I have to sort that out myself?
They actually have um, two sets of holsters. One for wearing them up like a shoulder holster, under
Yep.
the arm, and then also a hip holster.
I'm going to pop one under my arm, under my left arm, and one on my right hip.
Okay, perfect.
So then I'm going to pop in the car. And what sort of car is it? You said it was a black
It's a Rolls Royce.
Rolls Royce.
Yep.
Okay, I'll make a note of that one completely. Um, is there anything else in the car?
Um, Roll me your blessing.
Yeah.
Uh, in the glove compartment,
Mm.
you also find a black um, book with a couple of phone numbers, women's phone numbers and names. And as you back out, you notice that next to the car, between this car and the one next to it, you can see there's a wallet laying on the ground, and it
Yep.
almost looks like there's a foot sticking out of the trunk.
Out of the back of my car.
No, the car next to yours, as if someone got mugged in between cars, and they had to decide which car to throw them in. And
I,
you were fortunate enough that it was not yours.
is anyone looking at the foot or the wallet?
Not right now.
I'm going to grab the wallet and open it up and see what's inside.
There's an ID. Cash is gone, and you notice there's some sort of residue in it as well. If you want to roll me a perception streetwise.
Ooh, what's my streetwise? Streetwise is
One. All right.
There you go.
You would guess that there was from best you can tell, a high grade of narcotic that he was keeping a little baggie in his wallet.
I'm going to grab my. Uh, I'm just going to pop the wallet back down. Is there any other cards or anything useful in it?
It doesn't really look like it. It looks like it's been stripped clean pretty well.
Okay, I'm just going to pop the wallet back down and get into the car and drive away.
Okay. And did you have a place set up to stay? I assume you've been staying somewhere, but
I've always been basically spending my nights at bars and going home with women to have a place to sleep, essentially.
okay.
I'm a charismatic ladies' man who is incredibly manipulative and deceptive, so I've always found it easy to find a place to stay.
Yep. Then I am going to have you roll me a charisma and subterfuge. And we'll use your charming will be applicable.
There you go.
And you're not even hardly 3 blocks from there when you see a very nice looking woman waiting on the side of the road, and it looks like she's been trying to flag cabs and not getting them. And as you kind of are going past, she kind of waves you and kind of tries to keep up a little bit.
I pull over and open the door.
She says, I've got had just a terrible evening. My fiance ran out on me with my good friend of mine, and he took the car. But I don't even have a way back to my condo. You suppose you could give me a lift?
I smile my widest smile and go, darling, my night's been absolutely terrible too, but I think it's just about to take a turn. And then, start driving and ask for the address of the condo.
And she'll give it to you. And I assume you're going to drive there and stay with her because she is going to immediately invite you up.
That's the one. Is the bottle of scotch in the car, or did I just neglect to take that?
No, it is in the car. It's actually when she got in, she realized it was sitting between the two of you, and she holds it up, looks at you, and kind of raises an eyebrow with a smirk.
I just smile back and we go back to the condo. And I take the bottle inside, as well as the suitcases.
Okay, and as you get inside, she says that the management's going to have the lock changed by morning, but she always needs someone to hold on to a spare key if you're interested.
Um, I smile and say, "Yeah, I'm more than happy to look out for you. We all need a guardian angel, and I seem to have met mine tonight."
She says, "Yes, it seems lucky that we met, doesn't it?" And she says, uh, "You have just a hint of a foreign accent, and European accent." And she says, "My name's Camila. Perhaps." She gestures and she says, "Well, I have a second bedroom if you're looking for a place, or a
Well,
fairly large main one as well,
what was that?
or a fairly large main room as well." And she kind of smirks at that and heads into the bedroom. You know, as she drops her coat at the door and kicks off her shoes.
I smile and follow her afterwards and go, like, kicking off my shoes and sort of unbuttoning my jacket a little bit and
Okay.
go, I realize I haven't even told you my name yet.
She says, "Well, I'm sure we'll get to that when it's important."
I just smile and go, I like you a lot. You're my kind of person. And yeah, follow her into the bedroom.
And I think that will wrap it up.
Not a problem.
We
Um,
will. If you have anything
yep.
else we need to handle live, otherwise I will wrap that part up.
No, that part's fine. I
All
want to
right.
get a few of the stats on the items that I got, and that's about
And
it.
we can certainly take care of that. Thank you all for watching. This has been a World of Darkness, a Minneapolis by night World of Darkness, Mage Awakening scene. And we'll hope to see you again soon.